Board collections have been with Canva for a while. In this version, we have added some new features to it. Let's have a look. There are two major use cases for board collection. The navigational use case is that one that helps you and your team members to navigate between vast numbers of boards. The second use case is the information aggregation, where the board collection helps you to aggregate information from a certain area of interest within your organization, like a department, maybe a continent, an objective, strategy, etc. Let's get started with the navigational use case. You can access your board collections in the left navigation panel. This is where you create them and manage them. If you have 10 or less boards you have access to, it is sufficient to use the board section instead of a board collection. The board section shows you all your accessible boards sorted alphabetically, like you can see here. The board collection navigation feature starts to make sense to users that have access to more than 10 boards, like here. The most straightforward use case here is to create a board collection for all your favorite boards. So let's create one. So we go to the left navigation panel, we pin it. This is where we create a board collection, new board collection. We give it a name. So there it is empty. You have to create at least one board group. Board groups help you to cluster boards within the board collection for better logical structure. So let me create some. Okay, now you can add boards. We can create new boards, but we can also add existing ones. Let's do that. Here, you can now use the search to find boards within all the boards you have access to. And then you can start and go ahead and pick some of them that you would like to have in the board collection. In this case, my favorites. So let me pick some randomly, and maybe also here as well. It is important to mention that one board can exist in many board collections, as I can add it to many board collections that I see, that I create, but also my colleagues can use the boards and have their own structure. Okay. Here you can, using drag and drop, you can rearrange within one board group. You can collapse and expand. You can also move the order of the board groups like this. And of course, you can also move boards between board groups. You can also access the board group from the navigation panel, as you can see here. You can collapse it, expand it, and you can also change the order of board collections in the left panel by drag and dropping them. This is how you can change positions. If you want to ensure that your department or your project team uses the same consistent board structure, you can create a board collection with the required structure and share it with the team. You do it here in the left panel. You just click on the three dots on our board collection. Then you click on details, users. This is where you share your board collection with your users. As with boards, you can share it by adding users one by one, like here, or use user groups that are created manually in Canva or synchronized from Office 365 or Azure Active Directory, and you do it here. You can also make a board collection public. You do it here. In this case, all users will be able to add the board collection to their panel. Public board collections are excellent for creating organization-wide knowledge bases containing boards with domain-specific knowledge. Like here, you can see with this icon, this one is public. If I want to add another existing one, I can see this one is also public. Please keep in mind that having access to a board collection does not automatically mean that you give access to all boards contained by it. You can see it here with another user. For example, this is the examples board collection that I also have here. And here, this user, Marta, has access to all the boards, and this user has only access to few of them. Both of them have access to the board collection examples. All boards guard itself by its own permissions. To keep the security access to all boards and board collection aligned, we recommend using user groups, as I showed before, to control access to boards as to board collections, especially if you work in large organizations. As already mentioned, there is also a second major use case for board collections. It is the information aggregation. But first, let me explain the mechanics of that feature. It is important to mention that each board captures all its activities from all cards that are held by that board into a huge board activity stream, like here. Each action, like writing a comment into a card, moving a card between lists, marking a to-do item as done, all these actions create board activities in the board activity stream. Kanban remembers the exact time of the last visit of each user to a board. Based on that information, Kanban calculates and displays the number of unseen activities in certain boards for specific users. In Kanban, the user not only can see that there was some progress or some activities in the board, Kanban shows exactly how much has happened since the last visit for every user individually for any accessible board. So for example, if you know that in your department there is usually between 40 and 60 activities in a whole day, and then you come back from your lunch and then you find yourself having around 200 activities since you were on lunch today, you immediately know that you should have a look into the board because of the unusually high amount of activities. Enough of the mechanics. Now get back to the information aggregation. As you can see here, the board collections, they add up all activity counters of all boards contained by them and display the aggregated activities number here in the navigation panel. So this 5 is calculated because of this board, this board, this board. So 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. By clicking on the name of the board collection in the navigation panel, like here, you get to the tile view. But if you expand it, like I do here, you see that in the bold, you see all boards contained by that board collection that have unread activities. So basically you see 5 is because of 3, 1 and 1. If you click on the board itself, you will navigate to the board. But if you click on the number, then you will see the activity stream and you read it. You can close it and then you see that the number is gone. The same you can do here. We have read all about the latest activities. You can also do it when you click on the examples and you have this tile representation. You can also click here, read the activity stream, and you see 3 disappeared and also the 5 disappeared from here, because now you are up to date with all boards contained by that board collection.